To his neighbors, he was the perfect man. He went to church every Sunday. He coached Little League. He was an Eagle Scout. He smiled at everyone on his street. His wife adored him. His children loved him. And in the basement of his farmhouse in Kansas were the bodies of women he had murdered, stored in chemical barrels. His name was John Edward Robinson, and he did something no serial killer had ever done before. He used the internet to hunt his victims. The world called him the Slavemaster. And this is the most disturbing double life ever lived in American history. John Edward Robinson was born in 1943 in Cicero, Illinois. From the outside, his childhood looked normal. 5 children. Working-class family. But Robinson had something most people don't. A gift for deception. At age 13 he became an Eagle Scout, one of the highest honors in scouting. That same year he performed before Queen Elizabeth II in London with a group of scouts. He looked like a future president. But behind the uniform, something else was growing. He dropped out of seminary, forged his way into a radiology job. By his mid-20s he had already been caught embezzling money from multiple employers. It didn't matter. He just moved on, found another job, another community, another group of people to deceive. He married a woman named Nancy in 1964. They had 4 children, moved to Kansas City. To everyone who knew him, John Robinson was a devoted husband, a committed father, a pillar of the community. The reality was something else entirely. Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, Robinson ran scheme after scheme. He stole from employers. He created fake companies. He forged documents. He convinced people he was a doctor, a businessman, a philanthropist. He was convicted multiple times, served prison time, and every single time he walked out of prison, he started again. But in 1984 something changed. Robinson discovered he could use his charm for something far darker than fraud. He started targeting vulnerable women, single mothers, women in crisis, women who had nowhere else to turn. He told them he ran charitable organizations, that he could help them get back on their feet, find them jobs, find them housing. In 1984 he hired a 19-year-old woman named Paula Godfrey, told her family she would be going for job training. She was never seen again. Her family went to police. Robinson produced a letter, supposedly from Paula, saying she was fine and didn't want contact with her family. The investigation was closed. He had found his method. In 1985, Robinson met a young woman named Lisa Stassi at a battered women's shelter in Kansas City. Lisa was 19 years old. She had a 4-month-old baby daughter named Tiffany. She was desperate, vulnerable, alone. Robinson swooped in, offered her housing, a job, a future. Lisa Stassi was never seen again, but her baby daughter Tiffany had a very different fate. Robinson sold her to his own brother. His brother and sister-in-law believed they were completing a legal adoption. They had no idea where the baby had really come from. They raised her as their own daughter, naming her Heather Robinson. Heather Robinson would grow up never knowing the truth, that her adoptive uncle had murdered her biological mother, that she had been stolen and sold as an infant. She would not find out for 15 years. Robinson continued targeting women throughout the late 1980s. Beverly Bonner was a prison librarian who met Robinson while he was serving time for fraud. She fell for him. When he was released, she left her husband, a prison doctor, and moved to Kansas to be with Robinson. She was never seen again. But her alimony checks kept arriving. Every month. 4 years. Robinson was cashing them. Her family thought she was alive, traveling, living her life. She was in a barrel on his farm. Then came Sheila Faith and her 15-year-old daughter Debbie. Debbie had spina bifida and used a wheelchair. Sheila was struggling financially. When Robinson offered to pay Debbie's medical expenses and give Sheila a job, she said yes immediately. Both of them vanished. Robinson was cashing Debbie's disability checks. A disabled teenager. Dead. And he was stealing her government money. After serving time for fraud in the late 1980s, Robinson discovered something that would change everything. The Internet. In the mid-1990s, online chat rooms were new and largely unregulated. People explored identities, built fantasies, connected with strangers in ways that had never been possible before. Robinson entered BDSM chat rooms under the name Slavemaster. He presented himself as a dominant master looking for submissive women. He was charming, sophisticated, convincing. Women fell for it. Isabella Luica was a 21-year-old Polish immigrant studying in Kansas. She met Robinson online. He promised her a master-slave relationship and a job working for him. She moved to Kansas, signed a slave contract. She was never seen again. Suzette Troughton was a 27-year-old nurse from Michigan. She met Robinson in an online chat room in 1999. He offered to fly her to Kansas for a job caring for his elderly father. She told her mother she was going on the adventure of a lifetime. She wrote letters home for a while. Then the letters stopped. Her mother called Robinson. He told her Suzette had gone traveling in Asia. Suzette Troughton's body was in a barrel. But Robinson got greedy, careless. He began stealing from his victims. Personal items, sex toys, objects he had no reason to keep. And in early 2002, women he had been seeing simultaneously both filed complaints against him. One reported sexual battery. One reported he had stolen items from her. Kansas City police began investigating. What they found shattered everything. On June 2, 2000, police raided Robinson's farm in Lynn County, Kansas. In a storage area, they found 2 85-pound chemical drums. Inside were the bodies of Isabella Luica and Suzette Troughton. Both had been killed with blows to the head. A blunt object, possibly a hammer. Within days, investigators found 3 more barrels in a storage unit Robinson rented in Raymore, Missouri. 3 more women. Beverly Bonner, Sheila Faith, and her daughter Debbie, still in her wheelchair. 5 women. 5 barrels. And police believed there were more. When they traced Robinson's history, they found Paula Godfrey, Lisa Stassi, 2 more women who had disappeared after meeting him in the 1980s. 8 victims in total, all lured with promises of jobs, safety, love, all murdered. And then, the detail that stunned even veteran investigators. Lisa Stassi's baby. The daughter Robinson had sold to his own brother in 1985. Heather Robinson was now 15 years old. Living with her adoptive family, going to school, living a normal life, with no idea that her biological mother was one of the women in those barrels, or that the man who called himself her uncle had killed her. Robinson's trial in 2002 was the longest criminal trial in Kansas history. The evidence was overwhelming. DNA, financial records, the bodies themselves. His defense tried everything, but there was nowhere to hide. In October 2002, John Edward Robinson was convicted of 3 murders in Kansas and sentenced to death. 2 years later, as part of a plea deal to avoid trial in Missouri, he admitted responsibility for 5 additional murders. 8 women dead. 15 years of killing. And through it all, his wife Nancy had no idea. Or at least that was her claim. She filed for divorce in 2005 after 41 years of marriage. And Heather Robinson, the baby he had stolen and sold, filed a civil lawsuit. The woman who had grown up calling him uncle, whose mother he had murdered. whose childhood had been built on the foundation of the most profound betrayal imaginable. John Edward Robinson is 81 years old today. He sits on death row at the El Dorado Correctional Facility in Kansas. He has appealed his sentence dozens of times. He has never shown remorse, never cooperated fully with investigators. There are women who are still missing, women whose families have never had answers. Investigators believe there may be more victims who have never been identified. And here is what haunts me most about this case. He did this for 15 years. 15 years of killing, of stealing, of cashing dead women's checks, of posing as a family man on Sunday and a predator online on Monday. And it only stopped because 2 women had the courage to report him on the same day. The internet gave the world extraordinary things, and it gave predators like John Robinson an extraordinary weapon. The first serial killer to use the internet was caught in the year 2000. How many have come since? Tell me what shocked you most in the comments. And stay on this channel, because next week I have a case that will make your jaw drop.